Yeah.
All aboard the hype train.
Yeah. Man, I love that song. Someday, if I ever get hitched, I'm walking down the aisle to that song. Whew. Man, we're early today. We are 3 minutes early. We've been watching some Red Wing hockey. And my God, maybe the best first period of their whole season. I'm so excited. Man, I'm so excited. I'm talking hockey in a wrestling podcast. Oh,
everybody's tuning out.
Oh, no. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a bomb-dropping, sparkler waving, Maki Itoh serenading. God, what a beautiful angel she is. Matt Lashley coronating Shane McMahon main eventing episode of the Brothers of Discussion. Yeah. We're going to tackle AEW Revolution. Boom. Duke it out in the Wednesday Night Wars like we do every week. Is there really a loser? I don't think so. I think the winner is just us because we watch more wrestling. Woo! And, of course, we're going to make time for some wrestling nuggies. Matt, that's your favorite thing. And maybe not both of us. I don't know your brain, but I'm going to make the case for the aftermath of Omega's engineering skills, which I think Eddie Kingston already did for me. Matt, it's another episode. It's spicy. It's hot. That's actually warm. It was 60 yesterday. What a beautiful day to go outside. Matt, how are things at the Casa de Eddie?
They are fantastic, even though, Mike, she did it again. You want to take a quick guess? We'll play a quick game. Mike, what did Addie do again today?
Today, Addie made you think that she smeared poop on her face again.
No.
Oh.
She got the same eyeball for the third time. To the point now where, my wife is a doctor, and she said to me today, because of what's going on right now, is that I've had pain. I mean, wake up in the middle of the night and I'm punching the wall pain. I've told that story before. Today was just, Mike, I can't see out of it anymore. Everything's completely blurry. I told you I wrote, I had to do a 5,000 word blog. I finished it today, and I had to do it with one eye because she kicked me really hard and scraped her foot in a sock across my eye. So for the next hour, it felt like my eye was just, it was like Cottonmouth, but just on my eye. It was awful. So it wasn't as painful as when my eye was flipped open. I think we all remember that wonderful story. Yeah, but this is a whole new pain. It just, oh my God. And now that I can't see, it's getting a little bit better. Right when it happened, I was thinking oh shit, this is it. I'm blind. But it is getting better. This all happened today. So, yeah.
Wow. Here we go. There's wrestling plug. How are you doing, buddy? Happy Thursday. He's got a little line for us here. The amount of kid-related injuries my wife and I have had is unreal. We feel your pain. Wrestling plug, Matt, just chalk it up to reason number 5,000 why I'm not gunning for kids. I mean, maybe I will start gunning for kids to protect you, Matt, but I'm not having kids anytime soon. I don't want to go blind. I don't want to be Rey Mysterio with one eyeball popping out of my head. That's not appealing to me.
If anybody in the podcasting community is gonna have that befall them, if anybody's gonna be Rey Mysterioing it anytime soon, it's gonna be me. She loves my left eye. It's not just I'm sitting here going, she loves hitting my eyes. Mike, she loves the left eye. That fucker is going to be so dead by the time I'm 40.
That's assuming you make it to 40, Matt.
Right. Who knows what happens when she gets an ice pick in her hand.
Counting those chickens before they're hatched. Matt, where can the beautiful people find everything eyeball gouging related?
Find it at PODpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. Of course, Mike, our hottest video on the YouTubes right now is oh no, Left Eye, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, R.I.P. That was a while ago, wasn't it? Anyway, I'm all distracted now. Hottest video on the YouTube, Mike, is us still going over the repercussions of the Undisputed Era breaking up and how far-reaching they could be over the next year. So I still recommend us. That's our hottest video right now. You guys go check that out. Hotter than our podcast episodes for either show. I'm pretty happy you guys are liking that Undisputed Era video. Go check that out.
No scrubs in that video.
It's true.
As for you, Wrestling Plug.
Some might have been mentioned. I'll throw that out there. All right. That's Brothers of Discussion YouTube channel. And at BOD Podcast, at Brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. Hey, you know what? Actually, that video's on IGTV too. So you can check that out too. I think that's everything. And Mike, we have a banger of a show. I think everybody's excited to hear our takes on that explosive ending to AEW. But also, Mike, I can't wait. I can't wait to play that Shane McMahon game we have coming up. Where we're gonna rank all of Shane McMahon's WrestleMania. I'm not sure if we're gonna rank them by like like a match rating or like hype for the feud, but you'll explain more. But I think I have a good response to it either way.
Yes.
But yeah, then of course the Wednesday Night Wars. So do you want to jump into some AEW conversation first?
I mean, we just had Revolution. I can't remember if it was, I want to say it was Bully Ray said, doesn't matter what happened in the match. All people are going to remember is the finish. And the bomb fiasco, definitely, was the target for a lot of jokes at AEW's expense, at Tony Khan's expense. And eventually they pivoted around and turned it and, blamed Kenny Omega. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But it was still a pretty explosive show outside of that. Matt, we essentially had 1, 2, 3, I would say 4 debuts. Christian was our surprise Hall of Famer. Maki Itoh, oh my God. What a first impression. What a second impression she made on Wednesday. Ethan Page got to have his AEW debut, and Sting returning to the ring after, my God, an injury. We thought he was done. I didn't even know he was going to survive that injury. It sounded really bad. Like spinal neck stuff never sounds good. But he came back in the cinematic match, and I think he did himself a service. I think he did the wrestling community a service. Matt, of those 4, what was your favorite one?
Maki Itoh. I mean, she's absolutely wonderful. Flipping off everybody she can find. And the Dynamite performance was, Mike, it was dynamite. Yeah. I loved everything about her coming into the show. And I tweeted that night. It was kind of ranking them like right there. Like, what was the hot take? And that was easy for me to say that it was Itoh was my favorite part. Mike, that might have been. All right, we'll get into the explosive finish, but that might have been my favorite part of the whole show. Was her, because it just came out of nowhere. It was something where it wasn't built up like some other debuts. Where, you know what? Let's get into that.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, so Christian, Mike, that would have been such a better debut. Again, I think we've said this about a couple of different times that new guys have come over. Don't make me tune in. Like, reward the people that tune in. Don't tell me this is going to be humongous and can't miss, because I'm already watching every goddamn episode. So when you tell me it's can't miss, I'm assuming, look, everybody, it's Christian, okay? Think about how you felt when he was jumping on Main Event. Were you tuning into Main Event? No, you weren't tuning into Main Event. So if you're gonna give me this, let me finish. If you're gonna give me this bullshit that I'm being mean to Christian because I should be more excited about it, then ask yourself how many times you tuned into Main Event when he was the main attraction on that show, because you didn't fucking tune in. You did not watch any of those matches. Because he's not that exciting. I'm sorry. He did not deserve. It would have been fun. Yeah, you know what, Mike? At the Royal Rumble, to be completely honest, I didn't really like. I kind of went, "Oh, that's cute, Edge and Christian," but I didn't pop. I didn't go, "Oh my God, Christian's at the Royal Rumble." Well, and maybe I'm in the minority. You know, maybe I'm the jerk. But
we are traditional, both sides of our mouth talkers. Okay.
yeah.
So don't think I'm about to accuse you of something. I'm about to confess my own talking out of both sides of my mouth. So on one side, I was like, okay, it's not Bret Hart, it's not Kurt Angle. You know, I didn't want another Impact rehash. I didn't want a guy who's, you know, pushing 70, getting trotted out there. I think the only person who could pull that off right now is Sting, and he's got the face paint, so you can't, you know, you kind of squint, you don't really know. Oh, maybe he's still 48. You know, maybe he's still got it at 48. So at least it was that, right? It's a guy who, you know, he's in shape. We saw him at the Rumble. It's not an old Hall of Famer, right? It's a guy who could still go. But still, I just... It's nothing against him. But when you bill it as one of the greatest ever, you know, a surefire Hall of Famer,
Right.
For me, that means Edge is coming out, not Christian. And I challenge you, all those bleeding hearts and, you know, the tears coming out. Well, everybody's being mean. Yeah? How many of you own a Peeps t-shirt? None of you. So shove it up your ass. Nobody out there has a Peeps t-shirt. Is he a great wrestler? Yes. Would I geek out really hard if he was on our show? Of course. But the way they build it, it sounded like Edge was saying, fuck WrestleMania, I'm AEW. Like it was that level of kind of superstardom. So it was a very safe, responsible choice. And, you know, we've seen all the right things being said. He's going to come in that AEW locker room, you know, take people aside, really give some coaching. It looks like his first feud is going to be with Omega. So again, just another way to really elevate that devilish, you know, mustache twiddling, you know, bomb operating heel that is Kenny Omega. I think that's a good move. It's
here's a bomb has been dropped by Amy. First bomb dropped tonight.
Amy calling Christian a mid-carder, period. I cannot debate it. He's I'm
Please,
sorry.
You know, in the chat, like don't like give us your baloney that you remember so and so match from whatever in Impact Wrestling.
You know what? If any of you
sorry,
can
like,
tweet,
when have we ever put him on
Instagram or Facebook a picture of yourself in a Christian shirt, I will buy you anything you want from the Brothers of Discussion website. Anything you want. It's yours.
And you've only got 5 minutes. So
no, you've got the rest of your life. If you can find a Christian shirt, by God, it's in the bottom of your closet getting eaten by silverfish and moths. Just put on that tattered rag. You get a free shirt from me. Or a mug. Or a mask. Whatever you want. You know what? I'm putting this on the line because I guarantee none of you have it. Suck it.
A lifetime guarantee. Oh man, this is gonna be fun, Mike. When our show does explode and people go back and binge all of our episodes, and there's thousands of people that are sending you pictures.
You know what I'm gonna be doing? You know what I'm gonna be doing? Looking through those tweets. You know what I'm gonna be doing? Looking for Christian shirts. You know what I'm gonna be doing, Matt?
Oh shit.
And there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them, but
right, we don't hate Christian.
It's just the way it was booked. All right, so there you go, both sides of our mouth. But man, we got to get into that main event. Okay, the buildup was great. There was handcuffs. My God, John Boxley. That there's a countdown, and then Eddie Kingston came out. If you didn't pop like I popped, I don't know if you have a heart and a soul, because that was a beautiful moment to see Kingston throw away that whole feud, with the AEW championship to go rescue his friend that he thought was going to get, blown to smithereens at the dastardly hands of Kenny Omega. And then the two of them sold a backyard sparkler birthday party like it was World War II in the trenches. My God.
Right. So here's the thing, Mike. First of all, I saw someone else's take on this match, and I went back and watched the old Kenny Omega and Omega. What am I doing? What kind of old man from it's like French Canadian territories? Kenny Omega. You know, Mike, grab a brew with Kenny Omega. No, the old match with Moxley and Omega. Mike, it was so much better than this. It was like more intense. It was like this felt like they were when you go back and watch those matches. One felt like it was just trying to set up those bumps on the ropes, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Holy shit, the Red Wings are up 5-2 on fucking Lightning. Jesus. And the other felt like we were fighting for the championship. So this actually, like, going back and watching that old match, so I think it's actually a bummer of a match too. And I see in my notes here, I wrote most meh. I meant to write mostly meh, and that's only because they had such a banger of a match before. So what they essentially did was push out this feud probably a little bit further than they needed to, and kind of hurt the story for these two. I don't know if I just want to say in the long run, but yeah, go back and watch, everybody. That's your assignment for the week. Go back and watch the last I forget what they called it, the Omega and Moxley match. That was these two guys trying to murder each other for a championship.
Right.
It's just watching it a second time. It doesn't hit like it was supposed to, right? But ultimately, yeah, that ending, I think you fix it. Like, it should have been fixed beforehand, but you fix this the same way you did a cinematic match with Sting. Have the whole thing produced. Have the explosion just be the camera rocking or maybe going to black and show Eddie laying on top of John. I don't understand how that, like, man, Tony Khan's blowing up everybody's reaction Twitch channels. And, God, Mike, we're a step away from that, right? But he's blowing up everybody's reaction Twitch channels because they watched his ending and everybody's making fun of him. So I get it. You know, and a quick side note here. I get why Tony would do it, but also let's not pretend that this isn't the first, like, this is the first time that's happened. This is the first time that they've cracked, like, they're like, no, we're destroying these Twitch channels. And it's because they know it was such a bummer of an ending and they can't have that content out there because it was. It should get a bad grade because you if you're going to do that, you've got to plan it the right way.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things that WWE started doing, especially with The Undertaker, is now that his career's over, we've gotten a lot of opportunities to see how the sausage is made. And I don't think a lot of people really sat back and pondered, do they rehearse? You know, it's not like this is the first time with a lot of the big WWE stunts. They just roll the dice and whew, luckily that turned out well. You know, good thing we used that body double for the Fiend instead of burning Bray Wyatt to death. You know, just like, you know what I mean? So it kind of feels like, you know, like what you said, they could have just mega overproduced it, you know, done it off-site, off-campus. It's not like there's really fans there anyway. You know, there's, you know, a couple handfuls. And they did get, you know, pretty rowdy. But yeah, you had that opportunity. And I guess the other side, you know, being the kings of talking out of both sides of our mouth, what did we expect? I've seen some highlights of, like, death matches that ended well. And, you know, I got to think that there's something with, you know, like a fire marshal. Uh-oh. Are we getting laggy?
Yeah,
Oh,
a little bit. Can you?
Yeah, I can
hear
you
me?
Yeah,
all right,
I
cool.
can hear you. Yeah, but I was just gonna say, you know, there's something with the fire marshal where, okay, if we're gonna have people there, you got to keep them at a safe distance. Obviously, we're not gonna actually watch Jon Moxley blown to smithereens. So you're kind of limited in what in reality you're going to get. So I think the match suffered a little bit from the Christian Cage announcement where it was like, oh man, it's going to be an exploding death match. And if you just told me that the ropes are going to be lined with barbed wire and like smaller bombs, I'm good. But they really had to say this match in 30 minutes. They teased it multiple times. In 30 minutes, all the bombs are going off. So they kind of, dug a hole. They dug their own hole. So, Matt, let's do this. It's happened. It's done. It was an embarrassing Sparkler event. I don't know what you expected. I didn't expect to see a live murder on pay-per-view.
Right.
Do you think that they handled it as well as they could after?
No.
Now, I'm not gonna let you include Tony Khan's quick burial of Kenny Omega's bomb building skills. I'm gonna make you defer and refer to what the explanation was on Dynamite. Do you think that was a passable explanation?
The problem is
storyline wise.
Absolutely not. Because they sold the bomb right after. Just chalk it up to it looked ridiculous, but you have a television show. Because, Mike, when The Rock gets shot in the Fast and Furious, he's not actually shot. And we all know that. So we're like pretty good with accepting when things happen, in a movie, in a TV show. I say you roll with what happened. Moxley blew up and so did Eddie Kingston. You're like that. The mentality of this, let's just rewrite it because the fans know it sucks. It doesn't make any sense because then you're making Eddie. So what? Eddie Kingston's a moron? And Moxley, they're morons because they just laid there? Right? Like, so at what point do we draw the line and say what the fans saw or what the fans can think is what happened or isn't what happened, right? So where do we draw that line? Do we make Eddie and John the morons who just laid there despite being surrounded by sparklers? Or is it, that darn Kenny Omega. So basically, that's what we have to go with now, right? That's the story. Am I correct?
So, wait, so you're implying that, okay, now in the aftermath, the story is that they did blow up. So what do we do with John and Eddie?
I was assuming they were supposed to be written off AEW programming because John has a baby. I mean, all right, so we know that they were supposed to be blown up, right? So I'm assuming there was a plan for that.
I think, that's a very interesting point. What was supposed to happen? Was there had to have been a bigger bomb, right? It's like Moxley, whatever Tony Khan, in a panic, in a rush, like, okay, just get it out there. We fucked it up. Let's just say we'll blame it on the heel. What was supposed to happen and what was supposed to be the story? I don't know. It makes sense with Moxley making a little Mox, but Matt, I actually don't hate the way they handled it. I like the night of, it's over. It's just been broadcast to people who paid $50 to watch it, and you're like, oh man, these awful sparklers. This sucks. But for Eddie and Moxley to discuss it fireside with a couple glasses of scotch, if there was anybody who was gonna take a microphone and try to spin this thing in a positive light, it was those two guys. And I think there's no undoing it. It was a nightmare scenario. But in the aftermath, what we're going to get, I think, is worth that awful mistake. Because now we get Eddie and Mox, our friends again. And it looks like they're going to be the ones, in a classic WWF versus WCW, invasion storyline. Moxley and Kingston are going to be the ones to defend AEW against Impact. And if that means that I get this awful nightmare end to my $50 pay-per-view, kind of a cringy explanation. If it ends up with me getting these two in a tag team battle against the Good Brothers, and then it gets a highlight clip of Kenny Omega rolling around with Don Callis in the ring, requesting that Don 69 me, Don 69 me. I think we won. I still think we won, and I'm still intrigued and enthused and a fan of this program, even with that big mistake.
Yeah, and I guess I would be in the same spot, and I'm just disappointed that it's this throwing the wrestlers under the bus, and I'm not talking the Kenny Omega, what's now kayfabe. I'm talking. All right, so now this just means Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley are morons. I don't I don't know how I feel about that. To make sure that Tony Khan saves face. But I would say, Mike, I would be right there with you if we'd have the same thing, right? If they had just moved on to the next show, and I don't want to say treated it as if it didn't happen, but I mean, there was a way to just say, like just move into your storyline.
It had to be addressed.
Got made fun of.
It had to be addressed.
Did the WWE?
You couldn't just move on.
Did the WWE talk about the key that Paul Heyman dropped? Did they come out and make
not that particular one, but there was some. I remember there were some really rough booking decisions, and then all of a sudden they just blamed Baron Corbin for it, and so they made Corbin the fall guy. It's happened multiple times over the years.
I guess in the most recent history, but still, are you satisfied with those results? No, and I'm not satisfied with this. But I still get what they were doing with Eddie Kingston and Moxley, so just roll with it. Just make that your story, and the same way I watch a movie. Like the same way I watch most pro wrestling is knowing that these guys aren't actually fighting each other.
Wrestling is
just roll with it.
It's so social media. I think we're so ready to move on to the next thing. And like Greg mentioned, where was the big explosion? Which is such a weird.
That's a whole nother conversation.
It's such a weird what if. Like what was supposed to happen?
Yeah.
I didn't want Greg's comment to go unmentioned there, but
I was gonna pull it back up.
Oh, cool. I just totally lost my train of thought.
Well, that's a whole other thing to discuss. Is we're gonna pivot the story, but did we learn from this? Do we know now going forward that there's supposed to be a massive explosion when we do a match that we're being sold as the main event with the exploding barbed wire death match?
No, I guess I know what I was going to say. So, I think the wrestling community on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, it's so if there's actual news, right? Where a disaster is a disaster for about a day. And, AEW had its, egg on its face on Sunday to close the show. But I think for them to commit to that storyline and just keep rehashing every week, that sparkler thing was supposed to happen. I think that would have just created an even worse situation with even more jokes every Wednesday, every Dynamite. People going, man, look, they're really pretending that, Kingston was saving his buddy Mox. And instead, for them to pivot and say that this was all part of the plan, which is something we've seen with WWE when they, my favorite example is when they said, oh, yeah, we booked Daniel Bryan to be 1,000% out of the title picture, and then all of a sudden in a match against Triple H in a triple threat match at WrestleMania, we booked it all along.
That's different. But here's the thing. I'm
just saying, that you have to roll with the punches and change, right? Don't worry about if you fucked up, you're going to do a whole new thing. I'm ready. I'm in because the payoff is worth it. We're getting something. I was talking to Amy, one of our big fans. Big love, mad love for Amy. I'm giddy to see Mox and Kingston together, and I don't care that this is how we got it because we got it, and I don't need them to rehash every week and resell the Sparkler event. Just say give Omega, let him take ownership of it. I thought Don Callis did a great job of saying, haha, we made you guys dry hump and 69 each other. Haha. And actually, it's kind of a good point. It did make them look really funny, and it did make the heels look like they triumphed. They double triumphed, like Don Callis said. They won the title. Kingston didn't get to look like a hero. Mox didn't get to go out in a blaze of glory. They got all three of them. You know what? I'm on board. Wrestling Plug is with me. Kingston Mox promo. You know what? I don't have a scotch, but I do have this delicious Pigeon Hill oatmeal cream pie beer. I'm cheersing you, my buddy. Boop.
Yeah, and I guess to my point is you'd still be in the same situation if they went with my, because you would still get your thing is however you get there. I'm saying
no, it's not however you get there. It's not however you get there. I'm happy that we have it, and I'm just saying that every week to double down and say we're okay with the sparkler thing that was supposed to happen. That would just create even more mockery. So I'm glad that they pivoted and made it part of the story.
I hope to God they don't come back on this. And that I will say again, I don't think it was about coming out and saying we nailed it with the sparklers. And if I conveyed that in any way in my argument, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I do not want them to come out and keep saying the sparklers definitely killed Eddie Kingston. I'm just saying that there's a way to fix this that wasn't like, I don't know, making like who's the idiot here, right? Are we the idiots for spending the $50, right, and hoping the match or the ring was going to explode, or can we just still just all agree? Because I was going to compare it more to like The Rock and the Big Show going over the top rope in the Royal Rumble, and they screwed that up, right? Like that was supposed to be not the two of them touching the mat, but one of them was supposed to touch and the other wasn't. And I think it was supposed to be The Rock that won that, and then they just went ahead and buried Big Show. But we still watch that and make fun of it. It's just like we go through it, and they told a news story, but regardless, we still go back and make fun of it. So they had the option to either own it and say, hey, you know what? This is an entertainment product. The Rock also does not bleed for his, the Jumanji movies. That's all fake blood. So let's just tell the story we wanted to tell. And I think this would have been a great time for pro wrestling to say, let's not just fit the formula and bow down to the fans. Let's tell the amazing story that we had all set up with Eddie saving Jon Moxley. And I don't disagree with you that was incredible. It's just the execution was terrible. That's all.
Oh, man. Terrible? Man, I think you're going to go right for Bleacher Report. You should go right for Bleacher Report. They gave it a C. No, I'm going to give it a B+. I liked it a lot.
You cannot tell me that the execution of that end of the match is a B.
Oh, the end of the match?
Yes.
I mean, it was still really good up till the sparklers. I'm saying that in the that's done. You can't undo sparklers. I'm saying when I tuned in on Wednesday, Don Callis took ownership of it, made Kingston and Moxley look ridiculous. This absolutely just, you had to address, like Amy's saying, it had to be addressed. This shouldn't be swept under the rug. Totally agree. And they turned it. They admitted it was funny. That's the only way. It was like, like Michael Scott falling into the koi pond in The Office. The only way to get out from under the joke is to rechannel the joke and kind of laugh at yourself. They did laugh at themselves. And then they, let a wrestler get heat off of it. They let one wrestler get heat off of it, and then ipso facto built a tag team that I'm literally almost sexually aroused. I'm so excited to watch.
But we were gonna get that. You can't add that. Those are you're making like what is that? A false equivalency, because that would have happened anyway. Because Eddie laid on top of John to save his life, so that was going to happen. They were going to become buddies in a tag team. So the fact that
yeah, but I think that if you didn't address it the way you did, you still could have tried to do it, but it would have been just like eye-rollingly bad that we're doubling down on Kingston saying, yeah, I still saved Jon Moxley. We all would have said, really? You saved him from a sparkler? Like, we would have found a way to be tongue-in-cheek making fun of our wrestlers. So I'm saying that Kingston, Moxley, and Callis, in the aftermath, found a way to still make it interesting and not, like the, not a joke that those guys are together. Because now Moxley and Kingston have real beef because they feel like now the story is they feel like they got bamboozled by the hijinks of Kenny Omega and Callis. So I'm on board. I'm on board.
I think. I think the element of sweeping it under the rug just means they've picked which thing they're going to sweep under the rug, which comes back to my original point of like, why did Eddie Kingston like collapse after the explosion was done? Like, it's just we're picking and choosing here of what we're going to address, and it's still an issue. Like, I'm okay moving again. I don't have a problem with the story moving forward.
Well, what are you arguing? It's over. We can't undo it. So now we just have to say, well, was the next step, did that make you want to watch more AEW? Yes.
Oh, well, that wasn't the question we started with. I would say, like, I think I've said multiple times, like, I'm really on board with these two going together. And I don't know, I guess. Yeah, I feel like at the start I did say, like, I understand, like, moving forward that this was supposed to be them tagging together, they're brothers again. So that this is like, that's great storytelling. I said the execution of that end of the match is god awful. But yeah, no, I still think either way. My thing is that there was no saving this, and I think we just need to move forward. So I guess if we're saying it happened, and there, like, if our stance on it right now on the show is it happened and there's no going back, then the conversation's done because there's nothing else to say. Because if we're, if that's it, then that's it. So if it's just about measuring, am I excited about Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley? I don't know a human being in the world besides AEW truthers that hate the show that aren't excited about that tag team going together. So I am in a lose situation here where there's nothing I could say because you've already said the rules are the ending doesn't matter. And how do you feel about Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley?
I don't think the ending doesn't matter. I'm saying that
it happened, so there's no point.
I'm saying it happened. It happened. The ripples have already been made. What do you do now? And they managed to get heat for somebody and progress a story, and it's not eye-rollingly bad. We're all invested. So I
still think it's either way. Like, everything was going to be eye-rollingly bad from my perspective.
Oof. All right. Well, we're gonna move on because we're not gonna budge Matt on this one. Let's sprint through the last.
You're not gonna be budged either.
We are moving on. We're moving on.
If you think that
we're moving on.
That was one of their options. That was one of their options to retell the story.
We're moving on. We're moving on. Okay.
If that was the way to tell that story,
we're not going to budge you.
Done it from the beginning. If that was the way to tell the story, they would have done it from the beginning.
Matt, nobody is arguing that that Sunday was a masterpiece. We all know the sparklers were bad. We're saying it happened. Now what? So we can't keep dwelling. It's over. So what happened now? These guys took ownership. I'm happy. Matt, let's move on. The women's match was incredible.
I'm with you, Greg, just so you know. Mike doesn't want to address it.
They don't want us to feel like idiots. They wanted to make us feel like marks. It was a rib. It's arrogance on the part of AEW.
Boom.
Okay. I don't really know what to do with that, Greg. Okay. I don't need to see week after week of Eddie Kingston doubling down on it. I've already spoken my piece. Let's do Hikaru Shida and Rio, man. The women, basically for about a month straight since they started doing that tournament, have just been putting on, 5-star, 10 hot dog matches. Greg with a moving on. I love it. And this wasn't even my favorite match of what the AEW women's roster has been doing. Mikaru and Rio Mizunami, but man, I just this is going to be a short segment because all it is just like verbal applause. I'm so excited for them. I'm excited to bring them up again in the Wednesday Night Wars segment. I hope Tony, I hope Cody just keep signing more and more, just keep pillaging this top shelf Japanese talent over to AEW. Matt, any verbal applause you want to give?
Yeah, it was. I put in the notes. Short and sweet. It was incredible. Anything they can bring over that is just a continuation from that tournament, I'm all for it. Now, Mike, just real quick, my favorite match of the night was Sting and Darby Allin. I really like. I'm kind of bummed right now because even Sting was talking about his relationship with WWE ended because they weren't willing to put him in a cinematic match, and he was even talking about doing that with The Undertaker. And we saw Taker and AJ Styles go at it. So this was more just proof that he could do it. And I think that added to the excitement of the match to go, holy, yeah, watch Sting kick some fucking ass in this match. And it was so much fun to watch. I love these cinematic matches, Mike. I know they are going to go away, and I will be the most sad wrestling fan. We've talked about it with some ESPN pundits on our other program, and I couldn't disagree with them more. That they actually don't like these matches, but I think they add so much to what pro wrestling is. And Mike, were we starved for normal pro wrestling on this pay-per-view? Absolutely not. But Matt got his favorite match of the night. So that boom. Yeah. So I guess in the long run, I can't really piss and moan too much because I still got what I wanted. But God, I hope this just means there's more of this to come. And if we are going to be talking about old timers, continuing to get a shot on prime spots for where you could fit in some younger talent, this is the way to do it. I mean, there's so many things to say about like what Cage was able to do in that match that just made him look like an absolute monster. But of course they found a way to take care of him. It was like watching Mike. I keep bringing up the Rock movies because who hasn't enjoyed, and I know we just went over this like 2 weeks ago, but who hasn't enjoyed every single movie that The Rock has been in? Just give me more of that.
Me.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of bad movies The Rock's in. But almost all of them, I'll say. I'll go ahead and step over the bounds there and say many Rock movies are bad. But this Sting 15 to 20 minute movie was not bad at all. It was actually probably maybe the highlight of Revolution. You are just going to be on the coattails of the points here, but Sting could still hit his splashes. He still had that 60-plus-year-old fire in his belly, chasing after Darby as he was getting just completely like Passion of the Christ punished through glass, cement, wood, the air, airborne, taking damage. And I guess what was funny about this match is how often people will be like, the old guys are taking the limelight away from us young folk. And I don't know. There's just something about Sting. It didn't even cross my mind that whole production. It kind of felt like everybody got their stuff in. I was entertained. I don't know if I need to see Sting fight every week, every pay-per-view. But, seeing Starks and Cage and Darby out there with the legend, the icon, it worked. It worked for me. This is another verbal applause, Matt.
I get that argument, though. Like, I guess what we did here was to make sure it makes sense that Sting is hanging around. And, maybe that's not always the best decision to make. I think you still could have had this match. I still could have had a ton of fun, and Sting doesn't get the pin. Starks is the one who needed the pin.
He was the least likely to get the pin.
Right. And he takes the pin. I think there was a way to figure that out. I'm still saying it's my favorite match of the night, but now that you bring that point up, you're like turning me around and you're making me hate the match because it was a great opportunity. So it's a cinematic match. It's not like it was something with the Boneyard match where we're saying like the Undertaker has like supernatural powers. This was just to make sure that Sting, when he tries to do a suplex and he drops a guy, they can just reset and retape the suplex. Like that's the difference between the Boneyard match and what we watched on Revolution. But no, I mean, still, this is my favorite match of the night, and it's just that would have been the little twist. Of course, you know what? Other favorite match. I didn't realize how badly I wanted Scorpio Sky to win the brass ring. I going into that match, I think we both picked Murder Hawk. And once it started, they told such an amazing story in that ring. And especially with Scorpio Sky, like they're trying to build up Murder Hawk as the destroyer. And he wasn't having any of it. I mean, he really sold himself as a top star. And I think it definitely shouldn't have been Cody. But I still saw like an opportunity there for Cody to get it and get back into a championship conversation. So I don't know what's going on with Shaq. It's not my favorite story in the world. But we got ultimately what I wanted once the match started. And of course that just goes to great storytelling and amazing talent of Scorpio Sky. And it's just one of those things where I think maybe they just did a bad job telling his story before we got into this match, because there's no reason I shouldn't have been all about Scorpio Sky going in. But you know, here we are.
I think, how you doing, Benjamin? AEW Revolution was awesome, says Benjamin. Benjamin, you and I are on the same page, sir. I agree. I don't care about the sparklers. There was like 5 good matches. Really, really good matches. I'm not going to let the sparkler just destroy my Revolution experience.
Why did I say it was a bad pay-per-view?
Nobody said you did. I said it was
You just said... I agree with you, Benjamin. I'm on your side.
Oh, my goodness. Listen to this.
The pay-per-view. That was just
listen to this self-conscious. Ever. Listen to this self-conscious Jerry over there. My goodness, Matthew. You hated AEW. Wow, what a WWE slappy over there, huh? All right, well. None of that's true, Benjamin. I'm just teasing Matt.
These are the types of arguments. I come up with good points, and Mike just sits here. No, go ahead.
Yeah, great points, Matt. No, I think with Revolution, I think what you want to do is combine it with what happened on Dynamite. So I'm okay with Scorpio kind of sneaking in under the radar, knowing that on Wednesday he's going to get his shot and then turn heel against Darby Allin.
I got a block Brent from Facebook.
Okay. I was just going to say, kind of booking them together there. That's, long-term storyline. I'm okay with it.
You know what? So, you know what? Let me say something. I know you don't give me a chance to talk on this show, but let me say something.
Man. Glass houses, Matt. Glass houses.
This is going to be fun. Your point that you just made is turning me around. You make a fantastic point that if we are to believe that all of these shows are interconnected, they should be able to continue the storyline on the next episode. So I think my problem is just knowing that we're still being bamboozled because it wasn't the original storyline, and it's an improv C- solution. But I shouldn't watch it that way. The same way I talked about The Rock in all of his amazing movies, I should be looking at it and saying, this is what the reality is this is the first episode in this story, and here's where the supervillain explains what happened. And the problem there is that we all hated Game of Thrones. Okay? So we knew the ending of Game of Thrones sucked. So if we're gonna hate the ending of Game of Thrones, I think I'm still okay not liking the way that they're coming to this conclusion. But you are correct that I shouldn't do that because it was their choice as an artist to go in that direction.
The problem with Game of Thrones is after the terrible last episode, John Moxley wasn't there to roll over and say, Omega is a piece of shit at building bombs. And then there wasn't an episode of Game of Thrones Dynamite that Wednesday. Yeah, I think I will accept your points. Yeah, we're already at 51 minutes, Matt. We got to do the Wednesday Night Wars. I think I'm going to make you talk about Shane McMahon next week. I don't want to. We'll get that one a little bit closer to WrestleMania because it looks like he is brewing a feud with Braun Strowman, which I know a lot of the people are clamoring for. When are we going to get another Shane McMahon main event? Don't worry, folks. It's a coming. It's a coming. The boss's kid is coming.
Quick shout out to Greg, who's confirmed for us that all the shows are in your camp.
What? There's no bubble episodes. I don't like it.
You know what? Underrated aspect of Marvel Comics is when they do the. I don't know if anybody listening is subscribed to a full story for like X-Men, but when they throw in the special issue in the middle of the story that has nothing to do with it, that is sometimes the best comic you're gonna get in the entire volume. Where it's just like Spider-Man shows up, they save a baby, and it has nothing to do with like, whatever the supervillain they've been chasing after for a couple of weeks. Like you're bummed when you first get it because you're like, damn it, now I got to wait a whole other month for the next issue. But it's usually a fun story.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes on The Office, they'll just take an episode, go to Dwight's Beet Farm, They
have done that in The Office where it makes they have their story. They talked about it in The Office Ladies. They talked about how the writers would put a pause on whatever the main storyline was to fill out those 23 episodes. Were you actually making that point? I'm sorry. I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I wasn't being sarcastic. I mean, Seinfeld had some great bubble episodes where they just get stuck in a parking garage or waiting in line to get a table at a Chinese restaurant. It's some of our favorite stuff. But anyway. Matt, I just wanted you to touch on two quick things, being our NXT correspondent, the big announcements from this week. One of them around WrestleMania weekend. Matt, are they going to oversaturate us with NXT? What do you got?
No, I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and I basically chimed in, like, this is how you book it, is whatever happens in night one has to bleed into night two. Like, there has to be, to use interconnected story, there has to be something that's going on in night one. If it's the end of a tournament, if it's something where North American champion gets to fight the NXT champion, which of course, yes, we're stealing from New Japan Pro Wrestling with their 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. I also want that to happen at WrestleMania. I don't mind if it happens in both shows. It's going to be amazing. But anyway, have something like that written in there so you have a good reason to watch both shows. But they're adding titles. They have a ton of feuds right now. I mean, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly could main event night one without a championship, and that could easily go, for 8, 9, 10 hot dogs. So, and of course, I'm saying how the Brothers of Discussion rate matches instead of star ratings. It's by hot dogs. And Mike, if you have 9 hot dogs, think about that. That's a full package of hot dogs plus that extra one you had saved over from the old package. So you know that when you finish the package, you still have a whole nother package to open. That's why a 9 hot dog rating on a match is amazing. Think about the euphoria when you finish that package of hot dogs and you know there's a whole nother package. That's what night 2 is going to be. See, Man. 9 hot dog rating was perfect. I came to that conclusion as I was talking. That was the absolute best way to measure it.
As a card carrying Costco member, Matt, I feel like I'm actually getting shorted with just 9 hot dogs. It should be a package of 64.
That's true. Yeah, at this point, anything less than 64. Okay, so we'll start. 64 hot dogs is equivalent to 1 star on a Dave Meltzer.
Also, for anyone listening, if you can give us your funniest hot dog rating for the sparkler ending of Revolution, you can win some free swag this week from Brothers of Discussion.
Right. So not just a number, but you have to have a reason for it, like 9 hot dogs.
Like for me, I would say that the Sparkler main event was hot dog, no bun. That was my star ranking for that one. But yeah, be creative, and maybe you'll get a free mask or a free mug. Who knows?
So just to explain, though, real quick, that would mean, Mike, that you enjoyed it, as anybody enjoys a hot dog, but it could have been better.
I think it would mean I swallowed it, but I didn't like it.
Now, when you swallow a hot dog with no bun, just for the sake of me picturing this later.
Yeah. Do you want me to? I'm not going to film this on TikTok for you, Matt. I'm sorry.
All right. OnlyFans?
Maybe if you put a sparkler in a hot dog.
Okay.
There we go. That's America right there. Nothing like sparkler hot dogs filled with sparklers. Should we get into the Wednesday Night Wars, Matt, before we hit the 6-hour mark on this tome of podcasts here?
Well, yeah, let me pull up something before we say it. But of course, Mike Lashley gets another win over the Miz. Yeah. McIntyre and Sheamus.
Is this his new entrance? We didn't touch on McIntyre.
Yeah. Oh my God, new entrance for Lashley. He is our champion for a while. Mike, Bobby Lashley is such a great champion. This will be the first time since McIntyre became champion that I haven't been all whiny and hoping that they're going to write him back into the championship storyline or like being concerned about him not having the title. I am so happy with Lashley holding the title. I hope like this means he's our champion for the next year. All right.
I had an eyelash in my eye, but I also was tearing up for Bobby because I'm so happy. He's actually going to get not only is he going to be defending a title at WrestleMania. Matt, how many WrestleMania matches this guy even have? He's got like the Trump match.
He needs the redemption. He needs that moment where it has nothing. Yeah, get that Trump match out of his archive like that.
Yeah, get that out of the highlight. Get that out of the, this is your life, Bobby Lashley. We're moving on. Bobby's he made it. But he's got green lightning, I think. We're colorblind. You guys will have to weigh in. Was it green lightning? I don't know. But it looked pretty cool. And Matt, I think you had my favorite comment of the night. I'm gonna toot my brother's horn. I'm gonna toot my own brother's hot dog here. When he said, "Damn right, Bobby, take a look at yourself on the Jumbotron." That was a pretty cool moment.
He's holding up that title, he's flexing, and he's like, God damn, I look pretty fucking good with this title.
Fuck yeah, I did that shit. Woo! Yeah.
All right, and then McIntyre and Sheamus, Mike, I'm hoping this is like 7 rounds that ends at WrestleMania. And we'll go over more of Shane and Strowman, so I'll save that line at the bottom for next week. But yeah, basically, is there anything we give less of a fuck about? And I did want to put that out to the listeners, but we are going to move on. Mike, to
the Wednesday Night Wars.
The Wednesday Night Wars. Now, when you do listen on the podcast, there's some nice music that goes along with that. But Mike, I have mine ranked. I also have a dishonorable mention for the first time, so you'll be pretty happy.
Wow.
First time in a long time, because NXT, Mike, has been an absolute perfect show from top to bottom, but not this week. It was so good at the top. There are some issues down at the bottom. So we will we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, Greg here, just real quick, we can't throw this out. I want Bobby to lose the title to Brock, and then Brock to lose the title to Shelton Benjamin. All right.
And then I want Shelton Benjamin to lose it to Matt Riddle. And then Matt Riddle loses it to Cedric Alexander. No?
I do like the mix in there of Bobby turning on the Hurt Business to get it away. Or maybe, is it Shelton Benjamin? Who's going to turn on the Hurt Business? Because I don't want MVP and Bobby Lashley to ever separate. It's such gold. Greg, I'm going to chalk that up to I hope it doesn't happen. But I love the idea of Brock and Shelton getting back, like clashing like that. I just know the last time they had those two go head to head, it didn't end well for Shelton. That's the thing, right? Like, we have to have such short memories. So now we have to believe that Shelton Benjamin is older, but now he's able to, and this is me like getting mad at WWE for Greg's fantasy booking, but but like, right, like we'd have to have that short memory so we don't remember the last time Brock took down Shelton.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are also gunning for Brock versus Bad Bunny for the 24/7 title.
I don't understand why Brock doesn't go for that title. There's no reason he should. All right, we're in the Wednesday Night Wars. Mike.
Matt, looking at the card, who won? I'm seeing grizzled young veterans lost, so I think by default AEW won this week.
But you also went up against the first ever NXT women's tag title match, the women's match. The women's NXT championship match and an NXT championship match that ended with setting up what NXT TakeOver is going to look like. Mike, you've got to be fucking kidding me. NXT won this week. I don't care how well Mike, I don't care how well they tricked you into thinking that explosion wasn't supposed to happen. NXT won this week. You are going first. This was a TakeOver worthy NXT episode.
All right, I'll go first. Moment number 3 is Matt Jackson versus Rey Fenix, and I'm gonna put that out there because I think anyone who listens to the show, we talk about wrestling being a circus. People like all sorts of different acts, whether it's the trapeze, the strongman, the clowns, the guy who can eat a bunch of hot dogs. Whatever your favorite tent is. Young Bucks are not our tent. There's a lot of people who love it, and I love them. God bless them. But Rey Fenix, my God. I would pay just top dollar to be in that tent. I would make multiple visits. If I've seen the act 50 times, it's still fresh somehow on iteration 51. Rey Fenix is... Maybe I hate when they say pound for pound because what they're saying is he's small. Small! I don't even see a small wrestler out there. I just see one of the greatest like wrestling showmen, ring acumen wise I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, we grew up with Rey Mysterio in his prime. It's just Rey Fenix. He's just found a way to take all those physical tools that Mysterio has and just cranked him up to 11. It's every time he's in the ring, I'm still just watching like a little kid, watching, Santa fly by my house because it's another gift for the eyeballs. It's another gift for the senses. Rey Fenix, you make the list every time you have a match. Thank you for your service to this country and countries abroad that watch wrestling. Matt, moment number 3 for next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got?
Mike, before we do that, real quick, I have a hot tag.
Woo!
Is it possible that Rey Fenix will want to win the AEW championship at some point? And at some point, I want to have a discussion about who's going to be the first AEW guy to move to WWE. But is it possible that they promise him gold, a prominent spot, and he decides that, yes, I would like to win a championship one day? Because as much as we get angry with the WWE for not handing out WWE championship reigns left and right to all of our favorite wrestlers like Chad Gable. But I do an eye roll, but small screen.
If you think that Rey Fenix is jumping ship to WWE, I'm going to give you 3 words to sway you from ever thinking that again. You ready?
Yeah.
Lucha, house, party. Next question.
Oh, I got you. All right.
He does not want to be a part of that. He is the big fish in the medium-sized pond in AEW. No way he wants to be treated like a clown, like they do to, poor, Sin Cara, Grand Metalik, all the luchadors over in WWE, NXT, and the cruiserweight division that's basically dissolved. So no, I don't see him jumping ship. Matt, moment number 3. What do you got?
I mean, that wasn't the question I asked if they offered him a championship. Anyway, number 3, Mike. This card is so loaded. I can't believe I'm saying this is number 3. But the NXT Women's Tag Championship match, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez were awarded the belts, and they lose.
That was moment number 3.
Yeah, Mike.
Lord,
this is an amazing night of NXT wrestling. Mike, this match was easily 12 hot dogs. I don't think. Like, I was stuffed by the end of it. There was no way I was going to eat all these hot dogs in one night. But, man, am I happy to see, like, there's probably 6 left after how many I had. And, Mike, there were so many hot dogs because you needed a variety. I needed different toppings on the hot dogs so I could try different. I needed chili on one. I needed mustard and onions on another. This had so much variety in the match. These ladies do so much between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, but Ember Moon can reciprocate any style of wrestling. And it just goes to show like what a waste it was when she was on the main roster. But it also says, Mike, this is probably going to be one of the most exciting divisions, especially after watching the Dusty Classic. This NXT tag division, it could end up being like the hottest thing in pro wrestling in a matter of months. And I think this first night was definitely the best way to open it up. And, the emotion, too, going into it. You could tell Shotzi and Ember, they're actresses. But you could tell that they needed to win this. And you saw the sadness, even though it looks like Raquel Gonzalez is going to be going up against Itoh for the NXT Women's Championship. It's just... It was a great way to start the run for these titles. And like I said, what'd I say? 12 hot dogs. All right, Mike, number 2 moment for AEW.
Yeah. I just had so much freaking fun watching Ryo Mizunami, Hikaru Shida, and Thunder Rosa battle Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, and Maki Itoh. Itoh, my God, if somehow, by God, you missed her at Revolution, you missed the highlight from Dynamite, do yourself a favor, crank that clip up on YouTube. She committed so hardcore to her pop singer character. She just kept singing when the music stopped, and she didn't sing for like that R-Truth. Maybe he'll throw in like an extra chorus or two for like 5-10 seconds. Itoh was out there an extra 90 seconds, Matt, going through the entire, shtick. It was so good. Mr. Professional himself. Now, we give JR a lot of grief, and I'm not about to toot his horn. Okay, don't think I'm tooting his horn. I'm talking Excalibur. I'm talking Tony Schiavone, who do the heavy lifting for the commentary team on All Elite Wrestling. Both of them broke character, laughing and appreciating Ito's commitment to this singing character. And then when Shida came up to put an end to this musical nonsense, Itoh made her eat the microphone to the excited giggling of both Tony and Excalibur. So hats off to Itoh, stealing part of the show Sunday night, stealing the show Wednesday, and stealing the professionalism out of 2 of our favorite commentators. It was quite a spectacle. And then most importantly, I found a reason to talk about this every week. One of my favorite things AEW does is make you excited for the next episode. So this was a mixed women tag 3-on-3, but everybody got to get their stuff in. I got to see my Mizunami mime act where she was roping herself across the ring. I got to see Thunder Rosa bring the thunder, so to speak. And Britt Baker got to lock in the lockjaw. And Matt, next week, the women are going to main event fucking Dynamite. I don't know why it's taking this long, but it's going to happen. I'm so excited. And this match helped put those bricks together, get that house going. And Matt, no pig could blow over that house. Except maybe me, because I'm going to be so excited. I'm going to be huffing and puffing on my couch. Matt, moment number 2 for next Extra Time Wrestling.
Easy pick here because number 1 just set up so much for the future and gave us an amazing match. But number 2, Mike, Io and Tony Storm, where I feel like this was that opportunity where Tony gets the one-on-one shot with Io, right? Everybody looks amazing with Io. And I think Tony has gotten this bad rap that she's up there with all the women in the NXT women's division, but she keeps getting pushed down. And I think it's because she has a different style, and everybody's used to one style in the women's division. I'm glad that Raquel Gonzalez is bringing another style too. And it's weird too, because she's just something where she's like a boulder getting around the ring, and she uses that, but she's also still very agile. And I think part of it runs into some of the clumsiness that we see, but that's where this match with Io made everything look perfect. And it wasn't too, I don't want to say too long, because I could have watched for another 5 minutes, but it was this perfect length of match where you wanted more. And the ending to it, with just a couple of shots from Io trying to go from the top rope and things getting reversed, I think just told a good story for Tony, that it did look like it was out of hand. It was going to be an uphill battle the entire match, but that she still had like that never give up attitude throughout the match. And it's honestly, I don't know if I want to say it's not refreshing, but it is a story I think you could still tell with a heel. You know, you don't always need to see the chicken shit heel. You don't always need to see somebody cheating with like a manager or somebody on the side of the ring. It was just, Tony is the bad guy right now, and she took some liberties throughout the match, but she also was showing off her abilities too. So if she ever does step back into the face realm, it's going to be super believable, because she almost took the title away from somebody that looks unbeatable, and it was going to be with a couple of good counters, and that speaks to her wrestling smarts, which is something you need to sell when everybody's on board with thinking that Io is better than Toni Storm. So now she's the smart wrestler, and I like that. But on top of that, I think like the ranking fits at number 2 because this match was so great. If you guys are looking just for a straight wrestling match that has clean finish, you're going to want to watch this. But there's so much going on at number 1. This had to be number 2. So Mike, your dishonorable mention for AEW.
I think some would argue there was a couple contenders, but for me, there was only one. Now, if anybody's watched, I'm sorry to bother you, starring Tim Robinson. You'll know Tim Robinson. He actually, was on Saturday Night Live. He had a little cup of coffee over there. And one of my favorite segments he did is he was one of the Tesh brothers putting together the NBA theme. Matt, I think I would have rather watched that again than poor Ethan Page, because his match was clouded by NBA sound coverage in the background. So essentially, while Ethan Page was trying to wrestle, while Excalibur was trying to call the match, you got to hear basketball, throw me the ball and I'm gonna dunk it. Basket. It was extremely distracting. I don't think it was playing in the house, but it was definitely playing for everybody at home trying to watch it on TNT. So definitely a nightmare there. Probably somebody got fired on the production team, but that's our dishonorable mention. But at least we get to talk about Tim Robinson. Look up Tim Robinson NBA on YouTube, and you're going to have a nice 2.5 minute joke. You're going
to have a good time.
Yeah. But Matt, moment number 1. I really wanted to put Mox and Kingston with their fireside Scotch chat, but we didn't talk about it yet, and I think it's just going to be something that really, propels the show forward. Basically gets 10 humans involved, different dance partners. Matt, it was the Inner Circle. At first being betrayed by MJF and Jericho. And now what's going to happen is MJF has his own group of super friends. He's recruited FTR. He's recruited the chairman. And by default, Wardlow gets to hang out too, because,
right.
Wardlow. But yeah, it looks like we're going to have a big 5-on-5 battle. I don't know if AEW is going to start having some sort of Survivor Series match, but for all you people who are tired of seeing Chris Jericho, so was MJF's group. And they powerbombed that son of a bitch to hell to close out Dynamite on Wednesday. But yeah, we're going to see Sami Zayn. Good Lord, Sammy Guevara returning to the Inner Circle. And then I'm just excited to see how these guys kind of take turns battling each other every week, different combinations. I'm excited to see FTR, do a battle against Santana and Ortiz. And we're gonna get Jake Jack Hagar. Maybe he'll finally have a feud that we give a hoot about. Man, there's gonna be a whole flock of owls of people just giving a hoot about Hager and Wardlow battling for something more than we're the same size, kind of. So Matt, I think that was number one. It's gonna be telling a lot of stories for AEW going forward. And I'm just going to make a passing mention at the fireside scotch sipping. So, Matt, you said in an unprecedented move, NXT somehow let you down in one segment. Matt, what was that dishonorable mention this week?
Oh, this is unprecedented in so many ways because it's two segments let me down this week. Mike, the Grizzled Young Vets got jobbed out. They lose and they get beat up. And it's just something. No. They were the ones that looked like fools, and they lose, and they looked weak, which is that's the trifecta of bad decision making. So they're already coming off losses in big matches. It's just going downhill. And with this being one of the strongest tag teams I have ever seen, I said it, I don't get it. The other thing, Mike, Xia Li is also getting jobbed out, where Casey Catanzaro comes in with a crutch and starts destroying Xia Li, and Bao had to come out and stop the destruction. But this was something where we were selling some sort of supernatural identity for Xia Li, and that's all gone because she was destroyed by a crutch. And I don't get it. Both of those decisions. I told you, Mike, that this is one of the better NXT shows in a very long time. But it was very top heavy. And when you go really top heavy, the bottom falls below sea level, which is, we just talked about that in the Red Wings podcast yesterday. Nobody cares. But yeah, when you get too high and you start to fall, you fall hard. But this is a good time as any to move into the number one NXT segment of the week for the Wednesday Night Wars, which how long are we going to be doing that? But Mike, it's an NXT championship match with Adam Cole and Finn Balor. That would be enough. And this was an incredible match. I just, if you needed to get drunk, there were enough Panama sunrises around to get you looped up. But Kyle O'Reilly gets involved and does this sort of ghost appearance, and Adam sells it as like, oh my God, Kyle's here, as if they said it too, as if he had seen a ghost. And it was a great sell by the announce team, great sell by Adam Cole. He was terrified. And of course, this results in Finn Balor getting the win. Kyle comes in, stares down Finn Balor for a bit, but why Kyle's there. Just goes to town on Adam, and it is fantastic. And like I said, this looks like it could be so brutal, bad, disgust. Like this could end up being where it kind of fell flat at the end for Ciampa and Gargano. Like I don't think any of us were too satisfied with the end of that feud. I think this is where the torch is handed off, and if we're going to see two guys beat the shit out of each other, because I tell you right now, if you don't have time to watch all of NXT, I mentioned before, if you want to watch a full match, I told you which one to watch. Mike, if you just want to see somebody get punched and kicked in the head for real, watch Kyle O'Reilly beat the shit out of Adam Cole, because he punched him and kicked him for real and sold the hell out of being pissed at Adam Cole. And we know they're best friends. We know they've been fighting and wrestling around the world together for years. But those two were like, no, man, just punch me in the head. Make it look real. And Kyle said, well, there's only one way I can make it look real. And goddamn did he do it. But Mike, that could have been the end. And I was kind of like getting settled in. And I was like, man, what a great show. And then Finn Balor stops. And his eye goes down, down and to the left. So it's kind of like he feels a presence behind him. And he says, what took you so long? And I got chill. I just got chills again. Karrion Kross is right behind him. Like, compared to the main roster, is Karrion Kross the biggest pro wrestler of all time? Absolutely not. Compared to Finn Balor, he's a giant. And just this giant breathing through his nostrils right above Finn Balor. It's horrifying for Finn. But it was an amazing way to sell what should absolutely be an NXT championship match come these 2 nights of TakeOver. Mike, it was right up there with what we just watched at the last NXT TakeOver where Undisputed Era broke up. Mike, this was such great storytelling at the end of these NXT championship matches, and it's back-to-back. And I know I'm an NXT slappy, but I just... It was such a good way to start, to get these feuds kicked off. We're going to be telling these feuds for what, another month now? Just under a month. It's something that if you're a pro wrestling fan, you should just be to the moon right now. This is everything we want. You've got a blood feud. You've got, David versus Goliath. This is going to be amazing. And it just so happens that David is the best wrestler in the world right now. And I think, one of the things, the common denominator is something you always got to take into consideration, where we said, wow, Kyle O'Reilly's the fucking man when we watch those, 12 hot dog matches between Kyle and Finn. And then Finn keeps fighting Roddy Strong. Then Finn fights Adam Cole. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Those were all 12 hot dog matches. And they didn't. And I'm not taking anything away from Kyle O'Reilly, but I think we went too long without saying Finn Balor is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think it's going to look even better with Karrion Kross. Mike, best moment of the night. Like you said, you were surprised the direction I went in my numbers here, but I don't think anybody could argue that cherry on top of Finn Balor, who's pretty bad at promos, doing an amazing job of that down and to the left and feeling the presence of Karrion Kross. It was beautiful. Great storytelling. Fantastic job, NXT, all the way. Obviously, Mike, with what you picked as number 1, this was obviously the better show, was NXT. I could feel it. Number 3 was better than AEW's number 1. So, easy win. Probably a layup, I think. But good try. Like, AEW, man, I'm excited to try and find the time when NXT moves to Tuesdays to maybe watch AEW and it's being recorded. I'm excited for that. Maybe it's good of shows.
I'm glad that you're, supporting a billionaire, man. I'm just here for the wrestling, so I'm,
Oh, right.
I'm just a little more indie than you are. Yeah,
I forgot there were no billionaires involved with AEW.
Correct.
Okay. Any hoozles. Mike, you give all your money to Tony Khan. I will continue to give all my money to Vince McMahon. Both of them, I think, have done their fair share of, the Khan family. Come on.
Well, I bought this shirt. I think you got me this shirt, but I was going to buy it at Walmart. It was the Macho Man Cream of the Crop t-shirt. Nice. Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, Matt,
I've got my Dexter Loomis
oh, boy.
shirt on. Underneath is my McIntyre.
Man, the next TakeOver is going to be so long, Dexter Loomis is going to get a match. Are you excited about that? We're almost at 90 minutes, man. We got to ride off into the sunset. This
went way too long.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Go to bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. Hopefully I could put up another video like that Undisputed Era video. Mike, you're free to put in a video on YouTube whenever you have the time. I'm sorry. I don't know why. That was such a dick move. Mike has a real job. I don't. What's that BOD podcast? And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, please subscribe. We actually set up the show ahead of time. So if you guys see that those shows are going up, make sure you set the reminders because, hey, we want to go live when we say we're going to. But there's babies involved. So just hit the notifications and you'll always be notified when we go live. Same thing for Facebook. Not for Twitter, though. So if you want to make sure you don't miss an episode, go to the YouTube channel. Also, Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review. That does the most good work for this show. It's going to help us jump up in the rankings and get noticed when somebody searches for wrestling podcasts. Mike, that's it. Let's sail off. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.
Sparkler party! Woo!
We should have opened with